So to start again, hello, I'm Brian McCullough. I'm a business systems analyst at the system office. I work with curriculum, a student area, specifically in colleague. But before that, when I was at a college, if some of you might know this, if you know me, I got started at community colleges in the CCR area. That was many, many years ago, going on almost 20 now. And what I remember from that time was there was a GED and there was adult high school. And those were your options. And that changed, I think, a lot in I think it was 2014, and there are a lot of different options now. And so we have the wonderful Miss Jennifer Bean from our CCR area here to kick us off and talk about those different options. So Jennifer, I will hand it off to you if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Thanks so much, Brian. I appreciate it. Good afternoon. Glad to see everybody. My name is Jennifer Bean. My job title here is I am the Director of Assessment and the High School Equivalency Office. That is a mouthful. But for the purposes of today's session, I'm here with my High School Equivalency Director hat on. So my role is to support and assist all of our high school equivalency testing centers across the state at each of our 58 community colleges. I'm super thankful that Brian invited me to come talk with y'all today about high school equivalency transcripts and also adult high school. Brian mentioned adult high school. We also do have some transcripts to show you for that. But just very happy to be able to talk about the different high school equivalency and adult high school transcripts that we utilize in our area of the college. So as Brian mentioned, we started with GED in adult high school. We've expanded from here, and I'll give it back over to Brian, and then but we do have some examples to show you guys of what those various transcripts look like today.
Do you want me to share those slides, Jennifer?
If you don't mind, Brian, I would
Yeah, I
love for
can.
you to share those slides.
I
Thank
can do
you.
that. So I think these are the last ones that you sent me. Hopefully it's coming up here.
Let's see, not yet.
Yeah, I might have to save it.
If you don't have them, I have them, and I can pull them up.
It's going.
That shouldn't be.
It's coming now.
Okay,
Sorry,
cool.
it
Thank
just
you.
took it a little while. It should be. It says it's
Sometimes
loading the
sometimes it has to
file.
think for a minute.
Yeah. Come on now. Why is it doing that? Let me try this again.
Sure,
Here we
just
go.
I've got them ready, so let me know if you'd like for me to share mine instead.
Yeah, it says files isn't supported for size, so it's doing something funky. So if you don't
Oh
mind, that
no.
might be better. I don't know
Okay,
what its problem is.
I will go ahead and share mine then. Thank you so much, Brian.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. Okay, we're gonna present in Teams. All right, hang on one second. We put in share in team, present in Teams. Oh dear, I also got a file type isn't supported message on my end.
Let me see if I can fix that. I don't know
I'm
why
not
it doesn't
sure.
like it.
I'm not
Um,
sure either. While you're doing that, Brian, I'm going to go ahead and see if I'm going to try one more time from my end, see if it gives the same
yeah.
message.
If not, I can do it a different way. It won't be as
Okay. Oh,
slick, but
yeah, I'm still getting file type isn't
okay.
supported.
Let me
So
do.
while you're kind of looking at a solution on your end,
Yeah.
what I'll just mention is what we're going to show you in once our slides decide to be supported. What we will be showing you is a series of transcripts for the various pathways that we have right now for high school equivalency. At this point in time, we have four pathways for high school equivalency. Kind of what Brian was referring to is originally taking the GED exam was the only way in the state of North Carolina to earn a high school equivalency diploma. As he mentioned, in 2014, that all changed. There were some other high school equivalency options that became available from various vendors in 2014. Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Brian.
Doesn't do
um,
the nice presenting, but hopefully everybody can kind of see that, and I can zoom in a little bit too.
Exactly. Hopefully it gives the basic idea of what we're what we're going to show you guys
Yeah.
today. But yes, in 2014, GED went through some change. The GED exam went through some changes, and some other vendors also brought in some new high school equivalency exams that were eventually adopted here in North Carolina. And then later on in 2015, North Carolina also established its own high school equivalency pathway called Multiple Pathways to High School Equivalency. As you will see in just a little bit here, that transcript is going to look a little different from the other ones that we'll show you. We'll talk through that one in a minute as well as the others. And then finally, our most recent pathway in 2023 adopted in 2023 is called Total Transcript. This is a pathway that allows the combination of different high school equivalency vendors' scores to come together into one total transcript to show high school equivalency completion. So that's kind of an overview of our high school equivalency programming for the state of North Carolina. Now, let's get to the visual part. So for those of you all who are admissions professionals, these are the sorts of transcripts that you can expect to see from our high school equivalency graduates for the state of North Carolina. And then the last thing I'll mention before I go into each one, all of these transcripts are sourced from the same place. Diploma Sender is North Carolina's official vendor for high school equivalency documents and archiving. So any official transcripts, diplomas, education verifications, anything along those lines will come directly from Diploma Sender. So all of the transcripts, except for adult high school, because we do not have Diploma Sender servicing adult high school, but all of the other transcripts you're going to see today come from Diploma Sender. So the first transcript we're showing you today is a GED transcript. This is a student who took the GED exam, all 4 sections. You will know this is a GED exam by it having 4 sections, language arts, math, science, and social studies. If you notice, there is a highlighted piece right underneath where it says language arts on the transcript. That is where to look to where Diploma Center will show that this is a GED 2014 series exam that was completed by the candidate, by the graduate, I should say, in order to earn this high school equivalency document. So other than that, this document looks very similar to all of the other high school equivalency transcripts that we're going to show you today. A few things I'll point out to show that this is an official high school equivalency document from Diploma Sender. If you'll notice at the top left-hand corner, we're going to see a first name and a last name, a middle initial if the student has it. On the top right corner, we're going to see their date of birth. So we should be seeing those 2 pieces of identifying information from the candidate on an official high school equivalency transcript. Underneath, we're going to have a section that says academic record. This is going to be where we see what sections, or what scores were earned by the graduate on each section of the high school equivalency exam. So again, for GED, we're going to see 4 sections. Each section will show the test date. What date did the graduate take and pass this test? Just so you're aware, the GED does allow for retakes on each section of the exam if somebody doesn't earn a passing score the first time. So the test date that you're going to see is the date that the graduate took and passed each section of the exam. After that, we're going to see a score. In the current series of the GED exam, a passing score is 145. So we would need to see a score of 145 or higher to indicate that that student passed. After that, we're going to see something called a GPI. This is something that Diploma Center has recently started including on high school equivalency diplomas. There is all sorts of complex mathematical stuff that goes into this that I can't begin to describe, but this is a way to kind of provide a rough equivalency between high school equivalency score and what that might translate to for something like a GPA. Again, it's GPI, grade point index, or indicator, sorry, that Diploma Center provides on their transcripts. And with that, there is also a grade. Again, this is not an official grade. The students do not earn grades from taking a high school equivalency exam, but that grade is kind of where it approximates what might be, or a grade that might be earned by somebody who had a particular score on the GED exam. And again, please don't ask me to explain it. It goes into a lot of things that I can't begin to explain. But that is how Diploma Sender marks those transcripts. And then finally, we'll see a status. Of course, with a student who is a graduate, we're going to see pass as the status on all 4 of those sections of the GED exam. Underneath, we're going to see diploma issued on. It'll provide the date that that diploma was earned by the graduate. Usually that will be the date that the last exam was passed. Along with an average, kind of averaging out all those GPIs from that were earned by the tester. Underneath all of that, you should see my signature. So I am currently the director of high school equivalency office. So my signature appears on every one of these transcripts. If it does not have my signature, it might be an old transcript, but anything from 2022 and forward should have my signature on it. And then just some other notes from Diploma Center are there at the bottom. Obviously, if you see this, if you see an actual transcript, you will not see the word void all over it. This is because this is a sample. We don't want to we want to try to use a sample just to show what this might look like, and not use a particular student's work. And then last thing to mention is just that at the very top we'll see the state seal, and that this is that the State Board of Community Colleges issued this transcript. All right, Brian, if you don't mind going to the next one, please. The next one looks very similar to the first one, but this is for a student who took the HiSET exam. So as we mentioned, this is the second of our 4 pathways, the high school equivalency pathways that we have for the state of North Carolina. The first pathway was student takes and passes all 4 sections of the GED exam. This pathway is the student takes and passes all 5 sections of the HiSET exam. As you see, this is a very, very similar transcript to what we saw for GED, but there are a few differences. Number 1, the academic record will show 5 sections instead of 4 sections. The HiSET exam does have 5 sections. The difference between it and GED is that while GED has a unified language arts section, HiSET has split the language arts section between reading and writing. So with that split, it is we have 5 sections instead of 4. But similar to our GED I'm sorry, the other thing to note is that underneath each section it will say HiSET, where the previous transcript would have GED 2014 series underneath each section. This one will say HiSET underneath each section. Additionally, we will see the scores earned by the tester. For HiSET, a passing score is 8. However, in addition to a passing score of 8 on each section, HiSET also requires a cumulative score, all 5 sections added up, need to have a cumulative score of 45, averaging out to an average score of 9. So that's a little bit more complicated than GED. I believe that the previous series of GED had scoring that was similar to that, but they kind of made 145 across the board, the score for the current series of GED exam. For HiSET, they still do have the requirement that each section have a minimum score, and then there be a cumulative score of 45 at the end. If you notice, there is separate section column here for the essay exam. The writing portion of the HiSET exam has an essay associated with it. A passing score for the essay section is 2. Tester can earn up to 6 on each essay section. And then we, of course, also have our GPI and our pass status, as we did with GED. We have my signature and some further information from Diploma Sender at the very bottom. So again, very similar transcripts between GED and HiSET, just a few differences to point out so that we know what to look for when we're looking for those differences. Holly, I see your question. If it's okay, I'll go ahead and grab that question after we go through the transcripts, but I do see it. Thank you for asking that. Brian, do you mind going to the next one, please? Thank you. All right. This pathway, we do not count this as one of our current pathways because this test is now defunct. However, we did at one time in North Carolina have a third high school equivalency exam called TASC. TASC was available here in North Carolina for a time. I believe it started in 2014, about the same time that HiSET did. However, the TASC exam became defunct in 2021. The publisher stopped offering that exam. So the TASC exam has been defunct since 2021. I believe, if I remember correctly, North Carolina stopped using it maybe about a year before that. But I can tell you that TASC became fully defunct in 2021. However, there is always the chance that you have a student who is coming to you, a prospective student who is coming to you that earned their high school equivalency by taking the TASC exam. So as you see, that TASC transcript that we're looking at now looks very similar to GED and HiSET. Main differences are, again, underneath each section of the test, we're going to see TASC down there instead of GED 2014 series or instead of HiSET. And similar to HiSET, there are 5 sections because they do have reading and writing as 2 separate sections instead of combining them as GED does. And we'll want to look for a minimum passing score of 500. So 500 is the threshold for passing, was the threshold for passing for the TASC exam. Again, the rest of the transcript is very similar, but those are just a few things to look for if you do happen to have one of our TASC graduates who brings you a high school equivalency transcript. All right, Brian, if we can take a look at the next one, please. Thank you very much. All right. So when I was going over our pathways at the beginning of this call, I mentioned that our most recent pathway for the state of North Carolina is called Total Transcript. And just kind of this is a visual of what I kind of mentioned before, that we are taking all of our high school equivalency vendors, so GED, HiSET, and TASC, and students can combine sections, passing sections for each of those exams to create a total transcript. So what we're going to notice here is that in the academic record section, under the test section, if we have a total transcript completion, we're going to see different exams appearing underneath each section. In this particular example, we have a fictional student. We have a sample student who took the GED Language Arts exam, the GED Social Studies exam, and the GED Math exam. However, they decided that for science, they were going to go ahead and take the HiSET exam instead. So they took the HiSET science exam. So what has happened here is they've combined GED and HiSET sections to create a total transcript. Similar, we're going to the other transcripts we've looked at. We're going to see the dates of the most recent passing test that was earned by the graduate. We're also going to see the scores that were earned by the graduate. So what we're going to notice here is even though we have individual passing scores for each of these areas, I'm going to take a look here at status, and I'm still going to see a non-pass status, and I'll explain that in just a minute. But there is for HiSET, sorry, for total transcript, there is a particular, and I won't go into the full detail here, but I will just mention briefly that under total transcript, any HiSET exams that are taken by the student have to average out to 9. Even though a passing score in the HiSET exam is 8, they their HiSET scores have to average out to 9. That's because, as we mentioned back when we were looking at the HiSET transcript, it is required for the graduate to earn a cumulative score of 45 to pass. When we average that out, that comes out to an average of 9 for the 5 sections of the HiSET exam. So because of that, they kind of took that reasoning and are applying it here to total transcript. So we need to see an average score of 9 for any HiSET tests that are used for total transcript. In this case, we only have one HiSET score that's used. It is an 8. That doesn't reach that threshold of an average of 9. So this particular individual was a non-pass for their total transcript completion. So that's kind of just an overview of what total transcript looks like. And again, this is our most recent pathway. So this is just something to let you know that you might see this. Next one, please, Brian. All right. Now we have what kind of looks like our odd one out for our high school equivalency transcripts. This is the transcript for multiple pathways to high school equivalency. Again, this has been a North Carolina specific high school equivalency pathway since 2015. I know we've really tried to make sure that this is being utilized, especially since in the last few years, when there are students for whom just regular high school equivalency testing might not be the best option for their success. So multiple pathways to high school equivalency, as you can see, looks different from all the others. I'll kind of walk you through it. So as with the others, we see our state seal and the State Board of Community Colleges on the top. We see the graduate's name and date of birth. Here's where the differences start. Instead of seeing a laid out academic record underneath, there is an explanation here of what multiple pathways is and the competencies that had to be displayed by the graduate in order to earn this credential. And we also have the date on which the credential was obtained. So just a few notes on this looking different. This is because multiple pathways to high school equivalency has a mechanism in which graduates are able to combine high school equivalency test scores. So those scores we saw from HiSET, GED, and TASC, they can combine those with adult high school scores. So this allows a student maybe who, if testing is something that they don't feel confident about, they can take some adult high school courses in some of those areas where they don't feel as comfortable with testing, and they can pass that adult high school course instead to earn points toward their multiple pathway completion. Additionally, there is a technology component. There are no high school equivalency exams for technology, so that we have some other options that a candidate can use to demonstrate their proficiency with technology in order to earn this high school equivalency pathway through multiple pathways. So because there are so many different elements that come together to create a multiple pathway completion, we don't have that same setup of the transcript. This is letting you know that the student has demonstrated proficiency in these 5 areas. We have reviewed it. We have confirmed that the student demonstrated proficiency, and so they have earned their high school equivalency through the multiple pathways to high school equivalency pathway. But then, similar to all the others, you will see my signature here at the bottom right corner, and this is kind of where we have that multiple pathway completion. All right, I have one more I want to show you today. So Brian, if you don't mind going to that last one. Our last transcript I want to show you is for adult high school. I'm just going to mention before I go into this, adult high school is not my normal area. We have some other folks on our team who work more closely with adult high school. They were so generous as to provide this sample transcript to for today's conversation. So what we've done here is we've taken some time to not show the students' information, but we are giving a general uh, idea of what you can see on the new adult high school transcript. Um, as some of you may know, in the CCR area, we recently began using Advances as our system of record to record student data. So these adult high school transcripts are generated through Advances, which is why they look different than adult high school transcripts you've seen in the past. So we have the students' information at the top, including uh, which community college they attended to earn their adult high school completion. And then we've got some records down here. We're starting with some records that were with some credits that were earned by the student when they were in high school previously. This tells which high school they attended and then what credits were earned there. And then as we scroll down, we start seeing the adult high school credits that were earned by the student at the college that they attended. So this is what the first page of the transcript looks like. And Brian, if you don't mind going to the next slide, just so we can see the second page. That one kind of came out a little bit uh, landscape instead of portrait. But this last page will give the transcript summary, which is how many credits were earned, what their GPA is, and then the grading scale that was used to determine those scores. And then, of course, the signature from the college, from the person who was supervising adult high school in that college. So this is just kind of showing everybody what our transcripts look like from the CCR area. So if you have if you have a candidate who graduated using a high school equivalency pathway or from adult high school, this is what you can expect to see from those folks. All right. I'm going to go back to Brian. Is it okay for me to go back to Holly's question, or would you like for me to save that for later?
No, please do. Yeah, I would say before I do my part, let's answer any questions that folks might have. So,
Okay, great, great, great. Thank you so much. So
mhm.
Holly Hyde, I'm going to go ahead and read out her question. Are there plans to add essay scores to official GED and high set transcripts due to such being needed for the new dev ed placement? So Holly, I will let you know that we've been in communication in the past with the dev ed team about this. That's not our call to make. But we've definitely informed them about kind of what our transcripts look like and what's provided on those transcripts. Unfortunately, I can't give any indication as to adding anything to developmental education placement. But I will let you know that we have had those conversations in the past with the dev ed team. Um,
And I can add to that,
oh,
Jennifer,
yes.
just because I
Mhm.
don't know if I'm misunderstanding Holly, so please let me know if I am. Yes, for what I know, and I fortunately, Ashley, I saw you're on here, so I might ask you to chime in if I need you. She's like, no, don't. What I know about HiSET and the recommendations that the placement committee made really didn't change from RISE to the current framework. And yes, part of those recommendations is that you have to not only check that they pass all 5 sections, but also have to make a certain score. And I don't know what that score is off the top of my head. I can't remember in order to certain score in the 5 sections and a certain essay score in order to place into college level coursework without having to take a placement test or anything like that. So it looks like the essay test score is on here. Is that right, Jennifer?
Yes,
That's the
that is
essay.
for the writing section of the test.
Right. So you could see all 5 sections plus the essay score so that as someone's reviewing it, they can make a determination that, yep, not only did they pass, but they also achieved whatever the minimum is, which I don't have it memorized, to be able to be placed into credit level coursework. The GED, though, doesn't have an essay. So that would just be, unless there's something changing that I'm not aware of, that would just be if they make a certain score on the 4 sections of the GED,
Yes,
since
we
there's no essay in that. Does that help, um, Holly, answer your question?
And Brian, while we're looking, Adrian Murphy popped in the chat that 15 is the score for is that college placement score for HiSET. That and HiSET
Yes.
calls that a college and career ready score, so that aligns with that. Yes, and
Thank
then
you,
4 for
Adrian.
the essay.
Yeah, I don't have that stuff memorized. And some of you might know
That's
what
okay.
the score is for the, I think there's actually two options for the GED, depending on if you're doing a co-rec or hybrid model. But again, don't have all that memorized. There's lots of models. So I don't have it off the top of my head.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Sharif.
Hey,
So
Sheree.
when I look in the setup guide, so it does have it listed for GED. So it has the credit level for the first model, 165 on all components and
Mm-hmm.
4 on essay for each equivalent course.
4 on essay, but we're talking about GED or HiSET.
GED.
I
So the
wonder if some,
GE, oh, I'm sorry, go
Scott,
ahead, Brian.
yeah, I'll have to look at that. It doesn't sound,
Yeah.
Okay.
something doesn't sound right to me. So let me look at the guide. Go ahead, Jennifer.
I was just going to mention the GED does not have a separate essay section because the
Right.
essay is kind of built into their language arts
Sure.
section
Yeah,
and
that
they don't
makes
have a
sense.
separate score.
I'm wondering if there's just something wrong with you're talking about the setup guide, the DevEd setup guide, right, Sharif?
Yes.
It might be something wrong with it. So I'll have to take a
Okay.
look at that and get back to you all. I'll do that at sometime today. Okay.
Uh,
So yeah, we might need to make a change to our setup guide to make that clear potentially.
And Brian, Holly added something in the chat. I'm just going to read it out.
Okay.
We haven't yet received an official transcript with the essay score on it, and have been told that students may request unofficial transcripts that do have the score on them. So students are having to produce both official and unofficial. Strange to request unofficials. Holly, thank you for letting me know. The transcripts I'm showing you all are the ones that I have like as samples from Diploma Center. Um, Perhaps if you I'm trying to think how we can maybe take a look at that.
Mm.
Because they should have that essay score on next to the writing section of the HiSET. And again, only HiSET is going to have a separate writing or essay score. GED does not have a separate section for essays on their transcript.
And I do see now, Sharif, what you were saying, that DGED non-course code, there's a minimum score, as you mentioned, 165 for credit level. There should not be a section about essay on that. That
Okay.
was meant for HiSET, and so I'll have to get that corrected so that that's clear. Hopefully that
Gotcha.
makes sense
Okay.
to you all. 165 is the credit level cutoff for GED, 165 on all 4 components. And then those of you who are doing hybrid models and you are requiring students to take a co-rec or potentially take a co-rec before instead of a pre-rec, if they have the passing score, you said 145 was passing, right, Jennifer?
145 is passing,
So
yes.
if they have the passing score of 145 on all 4 levels, but not 165 on all, then they could take your co-rec while doing the credit level English. So that's just a mistake on our part. So thank you for pointing that out. And we'll get that fixed.
And Brian, Holly did mention that updating the DevEd manual might fix the issue
Okay.
that she noted. So that
Yep.
sounds like that might all come together to resolve the question.
Sorry
And
about that confusion, everyone. But thank you for pointing it out so we can make sure it's clear.
absolutely. And then Ashley put the placement guidelines for each model into the chat as well.
Any other questions for Jennifer before I take over and talk about some colleague related things? And of course, Jennifer, are you able to hang on for a
Oh,
little bit?
yeah, I'm hanging
Yeah.
on.
So if
I'm
you
still
think
here.
if you don't think of them now and you want to, when I'm done, definitely we can still ask her, get her expertise on
And
things.
Brian, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop my email address in the chat. So if anyone has questions like about high school equivalency, they're welcome to reach out to me. I
Perfect.
might not be able to answer your questions at like DevEd or things like that, but I can talk about these transcripts all day long. So I will go ahead and put that in the chat. And Joanna asks, how is multiple pathways used for placement? Is that referring, Joanna, to like DevEd placement?
I'm
She
assuming
said
so.
yes.
So yeah,
Okay.
so it is not if you go to those placement guidelines that Ashley put in the chat, that is not one today that has been recommended to use for specific credit placement. So if a student had that credential, then the college most likely would provide that student with some sort of placement test, whatever placement exam you have, so that they could try to place out of dev ed work into credit level work. But as Ashley pointed out, typically when we're not dealing with a high school equivalency student, don't forget that the primary placement criteria for those students that graduate from adult high school or a traditional high school or a homeschool will be their GPA. But placement test if there's no GPA, as she mentioned. So yeah, but hopefully that answers your question, Dr. Brown, that MPHSE, including even task under RISE. I know, as Jennifer said, it's defunct now. So, but even when it was in place, there was no placement recommendation for that. Just the high set and GED when it comes to debit placement. Okay, I'm going to share my screen because I want to talk a little bit about when you receive these valid credentials from your students that are applying to your college, whether they receive those at your institution or another North Carolina community college, there is a specific way that colleges should enter that information into Colleague, and that includes the transcript types and the specific graduation type that you might use when you're on the HSA screen, for those of you who are familiar with that. So there is this document. It's KB 0010652. It's called Managing Transcript Types for High School Equivalencies. And to be honest, it's been around. I know it was recently updated, and we're going to talk about why here in a second, but it's been around since 2019. So some of the stuff that's in here may have already been updated your system at that time, but we've made updates over the last few years, and more recently we've made updates to include specifically the question that Holly asked was, you might not have the total transcript in your table for this this area. But this document, if you subscribed to it, hopefully anyone who handles transcripts at your college has subscribed to this document, and maybe others in the admissions world, then whenever we make an update to it, you would get a email notification saying, hey, there's a new version out there that you might want to check out with some updated information. But if we go through this, the first thing that we need to talk about is the graduation type. And there is a table in Colleague called graduation.types that does need to be updated if it hasn't already been updated to include all 5 of these different types. So this might be something that registrars do if they have access. It could also be something that your IT staff does, depending on who has access to the different tables. And this is specifically a core table, so it's not one that everybody would have access to because it impacts the entire college. So you're probably familiar with the yes graduated, the no did not graduate. We've had a G for GED for a long time. We just ask that colleges change that description since there's more than the GED. As Jennifer so greatly pointed out for us, that we changed that description to high school equivalency. So that's one of the things that's mentioned in this guide when it was published. We have A for adult high school, and then we have C for current high school / GED. I guess technically HSE would probably be better for that, but those are the different types that we have. Not related to this specifically, but I'm going to mention it because you'll see it and you'll be like, oh, what's that, Brian? There is a new type as well called B, ability to benefit, that was just added to this document and others, including the admissions document recently. So that's another type that you should add because it is going to be included in the setup for your financial aid offices to work with students who potentially or do qualify for that ability to benefit option. Without getting into that too much, basically what that means is it's a student who's currently enrolled in one of your adult high school or high school equivalency programs at your college. And if they meet certain eligibility criteria, they can use the federal ability to benefit guideline, which allows them to apply and receive federal financial aid even before they graduate as a high school with a high school credential. So in order to make that work in Colleague, we need a different type other than C to indicate a current student who is also eligible for ability to benefit. So those are your graduation types. And those would look like that in the drop down when you're on the HSA screen to enter those. But yes, we also have some additional transcript types. That's what Holly asked earlier. You might already have HiSET, task, and maybe even the MPHSE in your transcript type table, which is also a core table. So again, IT might need to add this. But because there are four total different ones, we also want to add the TTran total transcript type so that when you receive one of any one of these four, you can appropriately identify it in your HSA screen when the student graduates with one or more of these. There's also GED as well. It's not listed here in this table because you probably have had that forever and ever since we switched to colleague however many years ago. So don't forget that the GE or GED transcript type is probably there, but make sure that HiSET is there, task is there, multiple pathways for high school equivalency is there, and now in addition, make sure that the TTran total transcript option is there so that you can record that appropriately on the HSA screen. And for those of you who've never seen that screen, here it is. You enter your institution, which today is typically other public, whatever county, wherever county is associated with the uh, community college where that student received their high school equivalency or adult high school. You pick the appropriate transcript type. If you're receiving that transcript with the date and the status, you add a start and an end date that is appropriate or makes sense, and then the appropriate graduation type based on what we just looked at. You can always add comments too down here as well if you want to put some additional information, but this is just what's required from a state reporting perspective. Any questions about using these types in colleague and getting them added to your standard tables, getting any that are missing added to your standard tables as you take a look at what you have in your system? Does it make sense? Anyone confused about what to do? Let me ask this question. Does anyone have concerns at all? I mentioned before that these are recognized nationally across the globe, as far as I know, and I'm sure Jennifer can speak to this even better than I can, or much better than I can. These are recognized high school equivalencies, and these students would qualify for financial aid, just like a student would qualify for financial aid if they graduated from a homeschool or a traditional high school as well. So we do want to document these in our system so that our financial aid rules work appropriately.
Brian, let me ask you a quick question. With all this fraudulent activity going on, is all this stuff going to come out of a portal or something? Because here we're kind of like on the lookout for transcripts. We get them; they look kind of wonky to us sometimes. So I'm just trying to see, like, how will a student request or to send this stuff to us? Is it coming through like a clearinghouse or parchment? Where is it coming from?
Jennifer,
So
can you? Yeah,
Oh,
I was just going to say, can you explain how Diploma Sender works? That'd be
Sure.
perfect.
So Diploma Sender is, as we mentioned earlier, that's our official high school equivalency document service for the state of North Carolina. So the student can I'm saying this as somebody who I don't work for Diploma Sender, so unfortunately I don't have all of the background information on how this works, but the student, if the student is ordering a transcript, they would order it from Diploma Sender, same way they may order it from Parchment or from another entity, like from which they're getting from which they're receiving their transcript, and then it's sent securely to the admissions office. I'm to be honest, unfortunately, I'm not sure exactly about all of the step by step how that works, and that is something I probably I can certainly look into if that would be helpful to as a follow-up. But I do know that it should come from that any transcripts should come from Diploma Sender rather than anything else. Or if I'm not sure if perhaps the student might obtain a sealed copy and then send it to the admissions office. Again, similar to what we might see with any entity that somebody would get a transcript from. But if that's something, Brian, would this be something that would be good for me to look into just to make sure that folks are getting official transcripts that are not fraudulent?
I think it'd be helpful to have any details about how Diploma Center sends their transcripts,
Yes.
so
Right.
that our groups know what to expect. I would
Right.
assume that I would either receive it directly in the mail from the Diploma Center and or like you said, through some sort of electronic portal. So, and what I would be concerned with is if I'm getting something that I would consider unofficial, where a
Right.
student is just giving me it. I know
Right.
sometimes we do accept that when we are dealing with high school transcripts, but I think that's where just as we think about our typical uh, ways and what's the right word I'm looking for? The standard practice about transcript accepting and what we consider official and what we consider not. It needs to come from the institution or it needs to
Right.
come to us physically in a signed, sealed envelope of some sort if the student does drop it off.
Yeah, because we get a lot of, people go out in PDF and Adobe Pro and they can create and try to mimic. We're seeing a lot of people doing fraudulent stuff. So I'm always cognitive of making sure when we bring in this stuff at our school, if something go wrong, we got somebody to point back to instead of we're seeing a lot of stuff on that homeschool population where they kind of like do their own kind of thing. And so
Mm-hmm.
we don't know what's real. Well, and I just feel more comfortable as the senior registrar of this college to know that I'm getting it from a third party source instead of you saying this is my official transcript
Mhm.
and I
Yeah,
can't support it.
yeah, that makes
Right.
sense. I think
Okay.
getting it from a third party makes sense
Yeah.
to me.
Okay.
And of course, I know we're not talking about homeschool. Homeschool is if it's North Carolina anyway, you can always go on the Department of Non-Public Instruction site to see if the homeschool's registered. Um, but yeah, a homeschool transcript is, I mean, I could I could register my homeschool, Brian's homeschool of cats, and um, make a transcript for my cat or my person if I had a son or daughter, and it could say whatever it wants. But at least I would check to see if it's registered if you're concerned about validity. Um, Looks like Sharif has a question.
Yes, and this may be rare because I've only seen this once, but I did have a transcript come for a student, and it came directly from Diploma Sender. But what was interesting is that Nikki caught that the student submitted two different applications. He had two different socials, provided, picture ID, and it kind of looked very AI. But I was just a little concerned with, okay, is this the person who actually took the GED exam, or did he take it for someone else? Because this is the first time I've ever seen anything like it where it comes directly in Diploma Center, but then there's a question of, is this really valid or not?
Did both of them come from Diploma Center? Both, like when you said that they applied under two different socials and all that.
Mhm.
Did both of them come from Diploma Center?
They only had one transcript sent through Diploma Center.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
I would. My understanding is that that should be valid if it came directly from them. Um, but certainly, that if there's a question, happy to look into that. But yeah, if it comes directly from Diploma Center, that should be valid because they are our official document service for the state of North Carolina.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Okay.
Hmm.
And I know, Jennifer, you put your email in the chat. I don't want to bombard you, but is it okay with you if like Sharif or Christina from AB Tech mentioned they had something similar? Is it okay for colleges to reach out to you if they have a question about something? I don't know if that's the best route or not, though.
So they can, again, because I don't work for Diploma Center. I can't
Yeah,
control like what comes from them. I certainly I can take a look if there's a question, but what I might recommend is maybe I can help you reach out to Diploma Sender and they can say, hey, yes, we sent this, or no, we didn't send this, or something along those lines.
that'd
That
be good.
might be what we do to make that connection.
That
That
might make
sounds
that.
like that's a
Yeah,
good idea to just go straight to the source and they
Mhm.
could validate because the data will come directly from them, correct?
It should come directly from Diploma Center, yes, if
Okay.
it's official. Hmm.
Okay.
I'm gonna lower your hand, Sharif, unless you have another question so you don't get tired.
Thank you.
Any other questions? And if I'm not seeing any, I'm going to turn the recording off like Dr. Hickman always does, and then ask that other question that